So I'm sitting here in my garage off the lake in my boat because it's cold outside and we got a storm moving in here in Arizona and I'm bored. So I thought, you know what, I'm gonna do a kind of a short review, or short as I can make it, review of the ownership and time spent in my tracker boat that I bought, my family and I bought back in 2017, late 2017 as a 2018 model. We bought the V165WT model, which is a deep V model. And back then, we had a small Gregor boat, and it was about 15 footer, all aluminum boat, little 99 Honda on it. It was killer for one or two people for fishing. Wasn't a recreational boat or anything like that, but we loved that boat. Just wasn't big enough for us. So we started looking over, kind of all over online, owners groups, things like that, and we found a lot of Tracker hate. It was weird. It was, we weren't even looking at Tracker at the time, and people are saying, stay away from Tracker and buy my brand of boat. Everybody has their brand preferences, and they're all saying, buy my brand, buy my brand. This is the only way to go. And a lot of people in those same groups are saying, my boat's falling apart. Just like when we finally ventured to the Tracker groups, they were saying the same thing. Majority of owners were extremely happy with their boats. And they were extremely happy with the overall ownership. And these were newer boats they were talking about. I guess Tracker did have some weld problems and some other issues that they had on older boats. We just weren't seeing that on the newer boats from feedback from owners. Few issues here or there, but nothing overall crazy like other brand owners were describing. So that's why I decided to kind of make a quick video, kind of do the pros of ownership of our boat, do some of the cons, discuss any issues that we've had, and yeah, we're kind of going to go from there. I'm going to stop video now, and we're going to switch over, and I'll start talking about the next section of this review. So I'm back, sitting in my boat, in my garage, just as before, and kind of moving on to the second part of this review, and it concerns the pros and cons of ownership. So I'm going to start out with the pros of the boat. This boat has done everything we've asked for. It fishes, it pulls, it rides smooth. Doesn't matter if there's waves, chop, that kind of thing. This thing just rides excellent. It does everything that we've asked it. And if we want to go out for just a recreational day, not fishing, I know, God forbid, right? But we want to go out for a recreational day instead and just have some food on the boat, whatever, does that too. It's been awesome for that. Huge question people want to know. How many times has your boat been back to the dealer? We have had our boat in 0 times back for warranty issues. We've had no warranty issues at all. We've had a few issues, yes, and I'll discuss those when we get to the cons, but they weren't major. There weren't anything I needed to take the boat into the dealer for. So another huge pro was the boat was affordable. So this has let us, take a lot more trips. It didn't cost us a lot for this boat. It cost us in some cases half as much as other boats that we were looking at in the same size and horsepower and all that. So definitely that was a huge win, is the affordability of the boat. And another pro, which was kind of a con, is I want all those sleepless nights that I had worrying when I signed the paperwork that my Tracker was just going to fall apart in 6 months, like some other brand owners were saying. I want those parts of my life back, because this boat has held up great. We've taken waves that sent bass boats flying for the docks. We've been out in weather we shouldn't have been out in. No issues in this boat. It just handles it. And we really love the deep hull design. It's just been fantastic. And the storage and overall organization of this boat, we know this was a new design for when we bought it, and it was one of the first of the new designs and the new interior layouts for Tracker. We love it. It's got plenty of storage. It's got everything where we want it and what how we want it to be. Fit and finish has been excellent on this boat. So my boat is garage kept, so keep that in mind. It may have held up differently if I left it outside in the sun and left outside in the rain like some owners do, but it's been garage kept. So when it's off the water, it's in a garage, it's covered. And my vinyl, any parts that are fiberglass, the powder coat, all that stuff has held up perfectly. The boat looks like it's new still. And of course, we do spend a lot of time keeping up with the boat and making sure it's clean and looking good. So don't want to go out in the water looking like crap. So now I'm going to get on to the cons. I'm going to stop this video and we'll go to that next section. Back again and going to discuss the cons of kind of the issues I've had or anything like that about owning my tracker, my B165. So the first con I want to discuss, which really ticked me off, was the center rod locker storage is garbage. It's a rod guide destroying failure. So the racks that are in it, the plastic racks, they snag on the guides. It makes it really hard to put rods in, really hard to take rods out. It's just a pain in the butt. And there's a simple fix for it, thankfully. All I had to do was take those plastic racks out. So there's 4 Phillips screws that hold them in. Took the screws out, took the racks out. We throw rod socks over the rods most of the time and just throw however many rods you want up in there. And that's it. That's all you have to do to fix it. So that was a complaint I had, but it was an easy fix. So another complaint that I had, well, this was self-induced hell. I bought a black boat. Don't buy a black boat. It's like buying a black car. It is hard to maintain the finish on this thing. And I guess, well, any boat, if you're going to keep it up and keep it looking good, you're going to do a lot of scrubbing, especially in the hard water here in Arizona. So can't really fault it too much. It was my choice, but it's a black boat. But damn, I'll tell you what, it looks good. So moving on the list here. Cable steering on this boat. The single cable Teleflex steering that came on this, about the cheapest steering they could probably put on this boat. Garbage. Was not a good system. Ended up moving to hydraulic setup, a Baystar hydraulic setup. I'll cover that kind of later on. I do a walkthrough of the boat. Great setup. I really like the Baystar setup. Dropping down the list further, the factory prop. They put a 3-blade Black Max prop on the boat, and it was not a good fit. It was 19 pitch. It was a little over-propped for the boat. Never really could reach top RPM. You're looking like 5,700, 5,600 or something like that with a 3-blade. And it blew out really easily in corners when you were turning the boat, and just wasn't a good fit. What they should have put on the boat would probably be a 17-pitch aluminum Black Max. If they would have put that on out of the box, that would have been a really good prop, kind of off the showroom floor. I ended up going to an X7 17-pitch, and it feels just about right for this haul. It's a really good prop. It holds really well. I like it a lot. So another issue that I had was the factory transom saver. Just get rid of it right away. It's got a heavy rubber V that kind of supports the outboard, and that V splits in half and allows the lower unit to hit the securing bolt for that piece of rubber. Now when it does that, it gouges up your lower unit and puts some kind of a wear spot on it and some scratches, and that just ticked me off. You spend a lot of money on a boat, and you don't want it to be scratched up or anything by a part failure. I ended up buying this Walmart Atwood kind of V-shaped transom saver. It has plastic like composite paddles on it. I put a little rubber pad on those paddles, and that's held up really well. You'll probably see that later in the video when I kind of do a walkthrough of the boat. And now on to the actual physical issues that I've had with the boat and trailer assembly. So the only things I've had, I'll move right through the list here, was my right side bunk, guide bunk, not a weight supporting bunk, but the guide bunk on the side of the trailer, split in half and almost fell off driving down the road. Just the wood split, don't know what happened, but when I found it, it was held on by one screw. A lot of people will take that in for warranty, but I've made bunks before. Wasn't a big deal. I was able to duplicate the factory one, put it back together, put it on the boat, or on the trailer, no big deal. I noticed one of the seats was acting a little weird. It just didn't feel right, and I found some loose securing screws. They use these Phillips head, kind of like a machine screw, a big one, and a couple of those had rattled out, so the seat was kind of in danger of just basically breaking off the base at that point. I just took them all out, put blue Loctite on. I don't think that's the fault of anybody at Tracker. They were torqued down well. It's just they rattled loose. Crap happens. So I put blue Loctite on all of them, and everything's been fine ever since. The last actual physical issue I've had with the boat, I had a nut fall off one of the bolts on the swim platform, which made it kind of really bend easily, and it kind of was at risk of breaking the swim platform. We are American-sized individuals, so when we'd step on it, we'd bend that swim platform pretty good without that one nut in place. So just put a nut on it, fixed it, good to go. And that is actually everything for the cons or annoyances about my boat. I don't really have other complaints. I haven't had warranty issues. I haven't had any issues with the interior. Everything is held up very well on this boat. I mean, we've really enjoyed it. And would I buy another Tracker again? Absolutely. I do it in a heartbeat. Again, I'm at the 2-year mark of ownership with this boat. Maybe in 5 years, maybe in 8 years, I change my mind. Maybe something major happens. But right now, no. Everything so far at 2 years and going out, a couple times a month has been excellent. Overall, I've been very, very happy with this boat. So I'll come back here in a little bit. Going to do a walk around. I'll discuss some of the mods. So if you were here just to find out what I thought of Tracker boats or being an owner, that'll be into this video for you. If you want to stick around, I'll discuss some of the mods or upgrades that I've done to the boat that make it more mine, and kind of self-gratification mods, things that I like that were cosmetic, that kind of deal. So I'll be back after a while. I'll talk to you soon. So next up, we're just going to discuss some modifications I've done to my boat and things I like, things maybe that I didn't like too much about modifications. But yeah, we're going to take a look at some of these things, and maybe you'll get some ideas of what you want to do. Maybe you'll get some ideas of what you don't want to do, but we'll discuss that here in just a little bit. So one of the first upgrades that I did to this boat was the prop. So again, I talked about before the 3-blade Black Max prop. It just was not a good match for this boat in this hull, in my opinion. Again, you couldn't hit max RPM. I feel the whole shot could have been better. It just was not the best prop choice. They really should have gone to a Spitfire, just aluminum Spitfire, in a 17 pitch. That would have been a much better prop for the boat. So I did try a 19 pitch in this boat, and I thought it was a great prop. It was very smooth, but it was also over-propped for this particular hull and this outboard. And I ended up dropping down. I sold that off and almost an even trade for it. But I ended up getting a 17 pitch Spitfire X7. It's been a perfect match for this boat. Lets the boat almost hit max RPM, has great hole shot. It runs really smooth. It's just a really good prop. So if you're looking at this hull or even a V175, if you've got a 115 outboard on it, 17 pitch is about where you want to be. I think that'll be the most... a prop that you'll be the most happy with. So what you're looking at here is probably one of my favorite modifications that I've done that netted the most results for the least amount of money. They're about $140. They're Nauticus Smart Tabs. And what they do is help level the boat and get the boat up out of the water quicker and on plane quicker. So I was fighting a lot of weight distribution issues in this boat. So we were always trying to balance what weight went to the left, what weight went to the right. I felt the boat kind of lean to the right or lean to the left, and it just never felt like it was riding level no matter how much we tried. I put these guys on, and every time we get on plane now, it rides very level. It hops on plane much quicker, and they really didn't affect top speed at all. So for those of you that don't know what they are, I've got 2 of these on the boat, so we can kind of move around. You can see one on the other side there. But they are hydraulically tensioned tabs that push down on the water. And as you're going, as you speed up in the boat, these level out, so they're not really affecting speed. But when you're at lower planing speed, they push down, and they just, like I said, they help level the boat and keep it more stable. They also let you plane at a much lower RPM. So $140, these were a no-brainer. I highly recommend them. Again, they're called Nauticus Smart Tabs, and if you look them up, you won't be sorry if you put these on your boat. So this was a controversial mod of mine. Most people will tell you, don't put a jack plate on a deep V. They don't do much. Well, most people would be right. They don't do a huge amount, but it did change enough of the dynamic of the boat that I won't take it back off. I actually like the way the boat feels with this jack plate. It let me get the motor dialed in where I wanted it, and height-wise, which, for the most speed I could get out of it, and also without blowing out the prop when I turned. But overall, it hung the back of the motor further off the boat. It makes the whole back of the boat sit about 2 inches further in the water than it did before. It feels like I jump up on plane quicker once I got this installed. I mean, it noticeably quicker to get up on plane. I don't know why that is. Maybe it's the angle of the boat because the back's sitting lower and the front's higher. But it jumps up on plane quicker with this, and cornering is a lot different with this jack plate than it was before. It feels like it leans into corners, and I guess maybe it's the geometry of it with the motor being back a little bit and the thrust angle being a little bit different. Sorry, I'm cocking geek there, but I do like the way it feels overall and the way the boat handles with this jack plate on there. And would I do it again? Yeah, I would do it again, but I can say for most others, you're not missing a whole lot. So kind of take it as just that. If you got the money to spend, or you want to tinker, or you like to play with things, do it. Otherwise, save your cash and enjoy your boat. So this needs no introduction. It's a Talon. I got a really good deal on this Talon locally. A guy was pulling it off his boat. It's an 8-foot. And my only regret with doing this Talon is it's not a 15-foot model. This thing has been great. I use it in conjunction with Spot Lock a lot. And on a non-windy day, when you combine it with Spot Lock on the front, on the trolling motor, and then Talon in the back, because I obviously don't have two Talons on this, it helps keep the boat pointed in a good straight direction. Or you can just drop it down when you're fishing or you're near shore and you're good. You're not going to, ride up on shore or scratch the bottom of your boat. Overall, this thing has been great. I really do recommend it if you don't have a Talon. It's a neat thing to have, and I've really enjoyed fishing with this particular device. Discussed this a little bit before. Hydraulic steering. This is the Baystar setup that I have. I think it was around $550 for me to buy it. It was not a difficult install, but if you're not do it yourself, make sure you take it to a professional. There's a little bit of work to it, a little bit of drilling involved, up kind of on the steering wheel assembly. The actual hydraulic pump is that extension on the steering wheel itself. So the kind of the big black assembly that the steering wheel is attached to, that is the hydraulic pump. So there's a bit of work there to get that mounted to the dash. Your hydraulic cables then run down the side panels and they end up coming out the back. So you got to take the deck off. Side panels do quite a bit of that kind of work. The cable steering sucks so much. This is a must-have on these boats. Do hydraulic steering, smile, and live on a happy life. So talking trolling motors, this was the power drive that came with the boat, 55-pound thrust power drive Minn Kota. And I added the iPilot kit to it. So it was a little kit that I had to do some retrofitting on, installed it. And I got to tell you, if you've never used a GPS-based or controlled trolling motor, it's going to be the biggest life changer or change in fishing I could have ever imagined. It has been fantastic. I don't even like being on a boat without it now. I guess I'm kind of spoiled, but definitely do a trolling motor with iPilot. I'd like a higher thrust trolling motor. This one does decent until it gets pretty windy out. But I'm going to wait until some of the newer trolling motors come out that are brushless and that, like the Lowrance Ghost, something like that. Until those come down in price, that's what I'll be looking at. The only mod I made otherwise besides the iPilot was I did a KIPAWA 853 prop. I've had this on a couple other trolling motors. It's a great prop. Lots of thrust out of it, and I feel it uses less power kind of at lower RPM, and it's got more thrust at lower RPM. So that wasn't an expensive mod and works very, very well. Definitely recommend that mod. Some other add-on to the boats I added some lighting pods to the back. These are Nilight brand. You can get them on Amazon. They're not that expensive. They've been on almost 2 years now. They haven't failed. They've been great little lights. I've got 2 on the back, 2 on the front. They're just good for night fishing, kind of show you what's in the water and whatnot. I did a 4-piece stainless steel rod holder. That's worked out real well just to throw rods in real quick, get them out of the way in the boat. I do have multiple Bimini top mounts. These are for the rear struts of the Bimini. I just put them on quick pins. I built these little tubes. They mount into the VersaTrack rail. The VersaTrack system has been great. If you've got a boat that has it, it's really easy to build parts for it. I've also got some fishing pole holders in a couple different places, cannons. Just ahead of that, we've got another Bimini mount. That's the primary Bimini mount for the 10-foot that I have. I've got also some other little hooks and things around here. that I use to attach the bimini and kind of rear support struts while the boat's moving. And I'll kind of walk up front and just, you'll see the other light pods. So we've got 2 light pods up there. Those work out pretty good. And then 2 more rod holders up here in the front. So. I'll cover just a little bit of the electrical in the boat. I don't have anything crazy. It's a Simrad Go 9 XSE. It's been a great fish finder. It's got an AI transducer. To maintain my batteries, I use a Blue Sea Systems battery charging setup. And what it does a couple of things. So one, it can isolate the start battery. So as you're running out on the lake, it always keeps the starting battery isolated from the trolling battery or other electronics. So you're never going to run out of juice, which has been good because I never have. Never even come close. And it also charges a trolling battery. So if you're running your outboard and it sees that it needs to charge the trolling motor battery, it's going to charge the trolling battery on the system automatically. It does it all by itself. On here, I've got a little voltage gauge. Just gives me a quick digital readout, kind of the voltage between the trolling battery and the starting battery. And right now, they're both equal because it's maintaining the battery system. And part of that Blue Sea Systems package, it gave me a 3-position switch that's a kill switch, and also it's a kill switch for the whole boat, so I can cut power off the entire boat. And it also has a manual battery combine, so I can force combine batteries if I want, if I have an emergency or really need some juice to start the motor, but I've never needed that. And last, it's got a shore power charging system. So this, I had to buy this separate. This is I think they pronounce it Noco part, but it's just a little connector that actually connects 120 volt shore power. I've actually got it connected. We'll follow it around here. I've got it connected up to 120 volt power coming off my garage door opener. So anyways, the boat's plugged into shore power, and when you do plug it into shore power, it's a 3-stage charger at 10 amps, and it maintains both your starting battery and your trolling battery at the same time. So that's been a real nice system, kind of a set and forget, plug it in, and keeps my batteries, you know, maintained and so forth. So that's pretty much it for those add-ons. I'll put some photos up, but I also ran strips of LEDs, and I'll show some photos here in a second, but I've got strips of LEDs that run along the front underside of the rails, and those light up the front at night really nice. Just gives interior lighting. Those same strips I've also got towards the back, so they light up the whole interior of the boat. I've been pretty happy with this setup. Just some Amazon RGB strips. I can turn them colors in case I want them red or blue or, you know, whatever. I've got a couple of buttons that I added in just to turn on and off the lights. And of course, the other light switches here on my dash control the front lights. And then, you know, of course, they control the rear lights as well. Just wanted to kind of show those features. Nothing crazy, just a little bit of lighting. The last thing I'll talk about in this little mini review to your follow-up is the outboard. I've never been a Mercury guy. I've had Hondas, I've had Yamaha, love Honda both, and I always was led to believe Mercury was kind of an inferior product, not as good, you know, all these different things. Same thing with brand loyalty with boats. People have their opinions. This outboard has been fantastic. It runs so darn quiet. Some of the time when we're on the lake, I got to check the tach to even see if it's running. So the idle's super quiet. It's never skipped a beat, never left me stranded. Its power delivery is very, very smooth. This is just a beautiful outboard. They really did a good job on this motor. It's hard to believe they got 2.1 liters of displacement in this little guy. And yeah, it's if you've ever been on the fence about getting a Mercury, I can say after 2 years of ownership, I wouldn't even bat an eye on this. It's a great motor. And the 115 standard model, you'll actually probably see some of my photos. I had a 115 originally, just a standard model. And through some crazy twists of fate and luck and so forth, I was able to exchange it for an XS. So I had a standard 115 before. All the excess gives you is a little bit more RPM. It's got a higher rev limiter. That's kind of all there is. So, but it looks cool as hell. It looks a lot better than the standard 115. And anyways, Mercury, highly recommend it. This has been a really good outboard.